Kevin Hart is back with a new film, and it kind of gives me Adam Sandler-ish vibes, and that's not a bad thing if that's your niche. But nonetheless, let's get into my review of his new film, Me Time. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel today for another review, and today we're going to be reviewing the film Me Time, which is coming to Netflix August 26th. So yeah, my opening statement, this film is a comedy, very lighthearted. The plot is very simple, kind of family oriented, a little raunchy at times, but nonetheless, it kind of gives you Adam Sandler vibes, and not just because of Adam Sandler's catalog, but I think in particular the films that Adam Sandler has done with Netflix. It just fits that mesh. But then, with Kevin Hart, with Mark Wahlberg, these actors are kind of, I'm not gonna say interchangeable, but they've been dancing around with each other's partners throughout different films. So you got Mark Wahlberg and Dwayne Johnson in the film, then you got Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart in the film. So when you see these sort of pairings, you kind of know what you're going to expect. And nonetheless, my expectations were exactly that and met. And in this film, you have Sonny, played by Kevin Hart, who is a stay-at-home dad. And, he's really good with the kids. He's actually not only just good with his kids, but he's good with the kids at the school. He runs a talent show. He's just involved wherever he can. He's really that good of a dad, where he knows kids. He knows his kids' favorite foods or all sorts of different things. He knows them in and out. He's a good dad. He's just not the breadwinner, because the breadwinner of the house is Maya, his wife, who is not present. She doesn't know her kids like that, and sort of this creates a little bit of an imbalance, but in theory, it actually works for them. Their household lifestyle, it works for them. No matter how everybody wants to perceive it, no matter what society says, it works for them. But Sonny has a best friend, Huck, played by Mark Wahlberg. Now, Mark Wahlberg character is, he's always up to some scheme. He's the life of the party. They're childhood friends. But when it comes down to the two of them, catching up, it can be sort of bad temptations, because they got totally two different lifestyles. Huck is still out here in his 40s partying like he's in his 20s. And, like I said, Sonny, he has a family, 2 kids, his wife, his stay-at-home dad. His life is pretty grounded. He's not really up to all that outgoing stuff anymore. But due to circumstances, Sonny realizes that he kind of needs to find himself again. This is where he needs his me time, because after all these years, he's just kind of been doing the same routine. And I think it also hit because his wife Maya was kind of well, I don't know my kids. I need to kind of spend time with my kids. So she requests to go on a trip, just her and the 2 kids, so they can kind of create some bonding time. And thus that gave Sonny a lot of time to do what he wants to do. So he's trying to get back out there in terms of catching up with his friends. He's still avoiding Huck, because Huck is just really that slippery slope of just bad things to come. But when he kind of runs out of options, he ends up catching up with Huck, and of course Huck brings his baggage with him, and that seems to be the story of catching up, understanding family values, but also understanding that people need each other in ways that you really don't know. It's like a certain level of balance and stability amongst these different relationships that people are having. When you see that explored with Sonny and Maya, where you see that with Sonny and Huck. One way or another, these folks need each other, and that's sort of the theme of it. But like I said, this is pretty lighthearted. It's funny. It's a little raunchy at times. Kevin Hart is in true Kevin Hart form. His dialogue, his script is always going to give you some of his outbursts, his mannerisms, all that sorts of different things. So you know what you're going to get there. Mark Wahlberg, pretty much the same. To be honest, at a point, I don't know how you write a script for these guys. You just kind of just giving them the parameters of what the film's going to be, and you say go for it, and they work really good together. And with that, you're going to have these funny moments. They pick their moments for sure. It's not over the top comedy, but there's those little moments, those little tidbits that you kind of laugh about throughout of it. And even the supporting characters I thought really had some really funny moments as well too. Folks who, you know, only in the film for 5 to 10 minutes, but yet they really make the best of them. So like, you know, the humor's there, you know, if it's your niche, you know, because again, if you like Adam Sandler movies where, you know, sometimes it could be a little corny, a little bit exaggerated, you're totally getting that. And then there's some cameos as well, some musical cameos, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, you know, like I said, like, you know, it's very simple film, very simple plot. It's really character driven, actor driven. And overall, if you're like an Adam Sandler fan, I think, or any of these two previous films and sort of know that niche, like I think it fits right up in there and whatnot. And I will say that there is a certain aspect of CGI in this that it's completely noticeable. It's laughable at times too, but it brings that other bit of comedy to it because you just know how ridiculous it is. But yeah, there's good moments. And it's really one of those films that no matter what happens in the film, it tries to send you away with a smile, a laugh, and kind of just satisfied. Like, hey, that wasn't bad. I didn't mind that at all. But yeah, I like the message in this film as well, shall I say. And no matter how different you could be, how much time has passed, sometimes you just catch up with your old friends and, you know, you just kind of catch back up and you just put all the past differences aside and just kind of move forward. And they have those moments in this. The opposites of personalities I thought was very interesting because I think a lot of people can relate to that. The folks who are married outside of the folks who are very much still single and or maybe partying, a little bit more adventurous outside of the people that are like very, you know, the stable and very grounded and whatnot. You get all of that. And then I gotta say, like, her character brings that extra element to this film of just unpredictability because of just how extreme he is with the things he wants to do. He takes his birthdays very serious, and this time he's celebrating his 44th birthday, and he's just looking for that big grand slam of a party. And like, it's interesting because he's really good at parties, and then Sonny's really good with kids. So like, they kind of find a ideal of like, maybe they can work something out because they actually have something that could actually work. So even though they tried to, well, I ain't gonna say they tried to, but even though Sonny tried to avoid Huck for a long time, you know, they still found some common interest even in their later years of their life. So like, things like that I thought was like, had a really good touch to this film that should make people enjoy it. But for sure, I mean, if you're a Kevin Hart fan, you're a Mark Wahlberg fan, I think that there's a lot of reason to check this out. And I think that, you know, in seeing it, you know, it's time well spent. Also should mention Regina Hall is his wife that plays Maya. So, you know, if you're a fan of any of these actors and you know the level of comedy that they bring, you know, totally check it out. Regina Hall across from Kevin Hart was definitely some of the funny moments. Some of her very oh, and she's an architect, by the way, and I really like how they made her like a strong woman character. Like, she's the breadwinner, and no one blinks an eye at that. Like, I like that element to this as well too. But she also, I should say, she also has a little art to herself. Again, not only trying to connect with her kids and get to know them more and whatnot, but there's some other little things that goes on there. A potential third party that can bring a little bit of internal marital issues between the two, but it's okay. It's okay. They're gonna figure it out. But yeah, totally check it out. Jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about this film. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.